In the previous video, I figured out what I wanted to learn. I created some flashcards in Kommit, and then I heard what they sound like using the text-to-speech engine. And in this video, I'm going to show how I play the memory game inside of Kommit to commit these words to memory so that when I'm out there in the real world, I can actually recall what I'm learning and I don't need to use my phone or Google Translate or something like this. Before I do that, I'm going to explain a little bit about the kinds of memory tricks that I use to help me remember. It's called mnemonics, and it involves creating funky images or situations or sounds that are kind of strange or weird, but memorable. And you can use these images that you create in your mind to associate with the words that you're learning to help them become easier to remember. You could simply just as you might do with paper cards, okay, here's this word and here's what it means, flip it over and then do the next one, blah, blah, blah. You could do it that way, but it tends to take a little bit longer because maybe you're relying on chance, that hopefully you'll remember which one is which. And the more cards you accumulate, let's say when you get to 100 cards or something like this, it can be a bit complicated to remember which one is which. So it's nice to have some memory techniques to help you remember what's what. And like I said, the way we do this is to create memorable images using our imagination. And so what I'm going to do now is play the memory game. And as I see the new words, I'm going to improvise and come up with some kind of memory technique or some kind of image that'll help me remember. Hopefully it'll help you, but you're not learning Thai, so maybe you could apply it to a different language. And hopefully this will give you an idea of how I use this to learn different languages. So we're going to go back and we're going to hit play.
สีส้ม
So I don't know what this is, and it's actually good that I don't know what this means because it allows me to, without, we can say, bias or without knowing what the answer might be, to come up with an image without thinking too much about it and allowing the sound to create some kind of image or situation in your mind. So let's see how this might go.
สีส้ม
Si som. Again, I don't know what this means, but as an English speaker, I hear si som and I think of seesaw, actually. There's an M on the end, okay, but it's close enough, si som. And so I could make this silly or funny or something, but actually a simple seesaw might be enough. Let's just see what it means, and then we can connect it to this image.
orange
Orange, okay, it means the color orange. So what I might do here is imagine a seesaw that two kids are sitting down and they're playing, or maybe even stranger, the seesaw is moving on its own. But there's an orange that's sliding along the board, and it's going up and down, and somehow it's not falling off. That's kind of weird. Or maybe it does fall off, and that's kind of shocking or something. But this image of an orange going back and forth on a seesaw with or without some kids sitting on the side is memorable enough for me, and I think I'll probably be able to recall it later. Now, I didn't know that this was orange before I flipped it over, so what I'm going to do is hit the practice button. The way this is organized in Kommit, you can think of it maybe as a yes, no, or right, wrong. I don't like to use those words, but practice is I didn't know what it was, and next means, yeah, I got it, next. So in this case, I didn't know, so I say practice.
bye
Bye. I even made this hand gesture because it means bye-bye to me. The other interesting image that might come in here is talk to the hand, which is a bit more emotional and a kind of other kind of bye. So somebody just sticking their hand in your face like this. So it's a bit more sensational and absurd and weird, right? And the more of that it is, the easier it is to remember. So I tend to look for those kind of things. And let's see what this means so that we can create an association with the word.
afternoon
Afternoon. Okay. So what I can imagine here is if you imagine someone sticking their hand out like this, the talk to the hand position or bye, but imagine it's a really, really hot afternoon and they're just pointing their hand towards the sun and you're seeing the silhouette of that hand pointed towards the sun. So it's hot and maybe you're sweating, maybe it's your hand, I think the more specific you are, the better. You know, it's your hand or your friend's hand or somebody you know, but that's, for me, that's kind of good enough. You have a really hot afternoon sun showing a silhouette of a hand that's pointing with this talk to the hand position. And so that sounds like bye to me. And so I'm going to say practice now, and we'll see if I remember it later.
สีส้ม
Okay, seesom, that was the seesaw thing, and there was an orange going back and forth, right? That was my image or situation. So this is orange.
orange
Okay, that works.
ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Okay, Pomchu Rosano. This is kind of a giveaway because I hear my name in it, so I know what it means, but let's say I don't know what it means. We still have this first part here, which is
ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Pomchu. So how can I remember that Pomchu is my name is, right? It doesn't sound like anything that I know, but maybe we can break it down. So Pom and Chu, Pom. That has different meanings for me. The first thing I think of is actually in French, pomme means apple. And in some language, it might mean potato or like French fries or something. But if we just stick to English, we could think of like a pom-pom, things that the cheerleaders use, like, hey, yeah. So we can think of pom-poms for pom. And then chu, we can say chewing, you know, or chihuahua, tiny dog. That's always kind of interesting and funny in weird situations. So I like the idea of connecting a pom-pom with a chihuahua. You know, maybe there's like you have two pom-poms and a chihuahua is sitting underneath and it's sticking its nose out, and that's just kind of funny and memorable. Or like maybe the chihuahua is eating the pom-poms. Whatever works for you, right? Like, it's just about picking something that's absurd, strange, weird, memorable. You create this image, and hopefully this image, once you connect it to the meaning, it'll help you to remember. So I'm going to flip this over to see what it means, even though I know what it means.
My name is Rosano.
Yeah, so my name is Rosano, so that's what it means. But how do I connect the chihuahua eating the pom-pom? There's nothing in there actually about me or my name or something like that. So how do I connect that strange image to the idea that's actually being expressed? So here I would think of maybe, you know, my name is Rosano. It's sort of like I'm offering something to somebody, and I can imagine myself holding my hands forward. You know, my name is Rosano, and in my hands, there's this chihuahua eating the pom-pom, or there's just pom-poms and the chihuahua is sitting on top or something. But this kind of playful association between chihuahua, pom-pom, and I'm offering like this. I think for me, this is a helpful way to tie it all together. So let's see if I remember that later. We're going to practice.
Bye.
Okay, bye. You know that one? That's, I think of bye, talk to the hand, and I remember the hand was like pointing at the sun, and it's really hot, and it's a silhouette, and I'm sweating because it's the afternoon. So, was that right?
afternoon
Yes. So I got that one. So I'm just going to say next.
าวโพด
This one, it's a bit hard to tell from the audio, but this is where, again, we're using something that's imperfect, but useful. I know from researching it, this is actually kaopod, something like this, or kaobod, one of them. It doesn't have to be perfect at this point, but let's just say that's what I'm hearing. So, I don't know what that means. Kaopod, what is that, right? It's good that I don't know. I'm going to figure out what kind of image this provokes in my mind, or something that sounds like a natural fit for this sound. I'm going to break this down. So cow and bod. So cow, if I speak English, it sounds like a cow, which is an animal that grazes on a field somewhere. So that's kind of easy. And then bod, a bit trickier because it doesn't sound like something directly in English, but it sort of, to me, sounds like bored, as in the cow doesn't know what to do and it's kind of bored. So I could imagine a cow. Maybe it's standing on the field, and then it like checks its hand for the wristwatch to see what time it is, because like, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. So this is absurd, this is weird, and I think this is a good, memorable thing. But let's see what it actually means, and then we'll connect it to the word we're trying to learn. So we'll flip.
โคน
Corn. Okay, so this is the word for corn. And how do we connect the cow looking at his wristwatch to corn, which is what I want to remember when I'm at the market. So, corn, for me, when I think about it, I think I've been to a lot of flea markets or just markets in general where there's somebody there roasting corn on the barbecue, right? Corn on the cob, we say. So I could imagine it being memorable to see somebody roasting and selling their corn, and there's a lineup, and in front of the line, or maybe in the back of the line, there's a cow there, and the cow's like looking at his wristwatch like, "Oh, when am I going to get my corn?" This is crazy, but helpful, I think. So that sounds kind of memorable to me, and I'm going to practice and see if I'm able to remember it later.
ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Okay, ผมชื่อ Rosano. Now, I know what this means, but I'm going to pretend that I don't and talk through how it connects to the mnemonic. So, ผมชื่อ Pom, we remember pom-poms, and chu chihuahua, and I was offering a chihuahua to the person I'm meeting, like I'm offering my name. So, this should mean my name is Rosano.
My name is Rosano.
Okay, good, I got that one. So, I'm going to say next.
ชัยโย
Chayo. This is new, and I don't know what it means. What could this, what kind of picture can I create from this sound?
ชัยโย
Chayo. To me, it kind of sounds like this sound that some people make when somebody scores a goal. I don't even know which sport it might be. It might be like football, or rugby, some people call it. So, or whatever. But somebody scores a goal and then the announcer screams like "Hayo," something like this. But this is chayo. So what I want to do is imagine actually basketball, and I'm going to imagine the player doing a slam dunk. Okay, they're making a goal, they're doing a slam dunk. And so that's like the hayo part. They're doing the goal. But chai to me sounds actually like tea from India, chai, which some of you may know as chai latte. And so I'm going to make this basketball player do this wicked slam dunk, but actually they're not dunking a ball, they're taking like a cup of really hot tea and they're dunking it into the net, and then the tea spills everywhere on the threads of the net and then onto the person, and it's hot and they get burned, and it's horrible. And but this is so crazy. This is absurd. So I think we've reached a good level of absurdness for this picture, and hopefully it'll be memorable. But what does it actually mean?
Cheese.
Cheers. Okay. Well, we could say maybe instead of tea, it's beer. I could kind of change the image here to fit this, but I think I'm going to remember this, or maybe I already knew it. Like sometimes it's actually easy enough. Like I know maybe that chayo means cheers, and I don't need to create a fancy image. So you don't need to be pedantic and do it every time. So I think for now maybe that's fine. Let's just practice it, because I didn't know this meant cheers.
ข้าวโพด
Okay, ข้าวโพด. And again, it doesn't sound like that from here because this is imperfect but useful. And I know it's supposed to sound like ข้าวโพด. And we created a picture where a cow was bored, waiting in line for his corn on the cob. So this is a corn.
โคน
Okay, good. That one works.
afternoon
Afternoon. So here, now what Kommit is doing is it's showing me the English version, and I have to reproduce the Thai version. And this is how you can really test whether you're able to recall things, not only here, but hopefully out there in the real world. Okay, afternoon. I remember we had a hot, sunny afternoon, and there was a hand pointed at the sun because it's too hot, and doing this bye, talk to the hand position. And so afternoon in Thai should be bye.
บ่าย
And that's correct. Okay, so let's say next. That works.
ชัยโย
Okay, chayo. And a basketball player taking chai or tea and putting it in the net, making a slam dunk, saying hayo, chayo. but it actually means cheers. So maybe it was beer. I don't know. I remember all of these things actually. So it's a bit messy, this one, but I know this means cheers.
cheese
So that one's a bit easy for me. Next.
orange
Orange. Oh, okay. What did we do for orange? I remember there was a seesaw that kids are sitting on, and there's an orange that's like sliding back and forth on the seesaw. And so it's seesom. Seesom.
สีส้ม
Okay, so that one works. I might need to remember this is not the fruit orange, but this is actually the color orange. But that's good enough for me. Seesom.
สีส้ม
Okay, now it's asking me to say what this is again. As this is also kind of a bug. It shouldn't show me the one I just saw, but I'm working on that. So it's an orange,
orange
or the color orange.
my name is Rosano
Okay, my name is Rosano. I'm imagining pom-poms and a chihuahua in my hand as I'm offering it to somebody. So that's Pomche Rosano.
ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Pomche Rosano. Slightly different, but I'm going to say good enough.
cheese
Cheers. That's the Chayo. I didn't connect this one well to the cheers or the beer, but you can create your own image for that. So maybe somebody's dunking beer, but yeah, Chayo.
ชัยโย โคน
Corn. There is a bored cow looking at his wristwatch, waiting for his corn on the cow. So cow bored.
ข้าวโพด
Uh-huh.
บ่าย
By afternoon.
afternoon ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Pomchu Rosano. My name is Rosano.
my name is Rosano ข้าวโพด
Cowpod. That's corn.
โคน
Huh?
afternoon
I know what it is. Do you know what it is? It's the hand pointing at the sun, so that's by.
บ่าย
Uh-huh.
ชัยโย
Chayo, that's cheers. Dunking beer on the basketball net.
cheese
Uh-huh.
orange
Orange is the seesaw, seesom.
สีส้ม
Uh-huh.
my name is Rosano
My name is Rosano. Pomchu Rosano.
ผมชื่อโรซาโน
Uh-huh.
cheese
Cheers. Chayo.
ชัยโย
Uh-huh.
โคน
Cowpod.
ข้าวโพด
Uh-huh. Done. Okay. So that took a little bit longer than I might have, like 17 minutes for 5 cards, but it also included explaining to you how all of this works. So normally I wouldn't do that, or neither would you. So I think it's nice to know that, if normally this took half the time, it would be like, let's say 10 minutes, you learned half a dozen words in 10 minutes. I think that's great. And in my experience, when I do this consistently on a regular basis, it kind of adds up and you end up learning a lot of words. I can even show you the word list from my main deck, which is here. So these are some of the words that I've learned so far. In total, I have 93. 15 of them I haven't looked at yet. 78 of them I'm sort of working on learning them, but it's quite new because I've only been here for not so long. But yeah, I think that's super useful, and I did this with Portuguese and Arabic and also German, and I ended up getting to a level that most people seem to be impressed by when they spoke the native language, which doesn't mean that it was like amazing, but it was just a kind of noticeable progress from most of the native speakers that I encountered in those other languages. And if you know me and you know that I know like a bunch of other languages, you might be thinking, well, he's got so much experience and he's sort of like a language expert or something, and like he's been doing this his whole life and he's special or talented. And I would just say to anybody who thinks that, like, I started learning my second language when I was in my late 20s, which is relatively late from when you're supposed to really start learning this stuff. And I think you can practice things and you can get better and make really good progress. And so I think it's good to not consider this to be some kind of magical art. Like I talked you through how I'm making these images, and it's really something that you can also do yourself. You just have to tap into your imagination and be creative and also enjoy and have fun. And so I hope this was useful to show my process and how I use Kommit to help me learn some of this, and I hope it can be as helpful to you. And if you want to see more, let me know what kind of other stuff might be interesting, and I'd be happy to make more videos. Ciao. One last thing. I've been doing this for about a week so far, and I have maybe 100 words in my list, not all of them learned, but I have like a basic kind of accent, and this language is something that's quite different from either the ones that I've learned before, or maybe the ones we can say that are commonly learned, like Spanish or French or German, the European languages. So here the script is different, the sounds are different, the references are different, so it's very kind of far away, and we're using this kind of patch together, be creative, use your imagination, teach yourself for something that can be quite complicated actually. So I think it's interesting to just see how far one can go. My objective here is not to become fluent or something, but just to find the limits of this approach that I'm using. So if you're curious to see what might happen if someone does this consistently for an extended period of time, check back in a few weeks, because I'll probably post another video just showing my progress, like where I'm at, and you can just get an idea of like what happens when you do this. And again, see how far it goes, see how far we can take it. You can either subscribe to the channel or find me on social media, and I'll probably make a post just announcing that. And yeah, stay tuned if that's of interest to you. Ciao.